My name is Stewart Mitchell. I'm the founder of Voice for Change. And what we do is we use poetry and spoken word as a form of activism, a form of outreach to help people make the connection between themselves, the planet, and the animals. And I wrote a couple of poems today. I wrote them a couple of days ago. I don't really have the cadence down packed, so if I come off sounding pretty loopy, please forgive me. The first poem I want to share with you, I didn't name them, but the first poem I wanted to share with you kind of talks about my journey into veganism and how I felt and the overwhelming sense of grief and sorrow that I have for what happens to animals on a consistent basis. And a lot of times it feels like what happens to animals is out of our control and we really can't do much about it, but in all actuality we can. We all have a voice, we all have the ability to change the world through our words, through our creativity, and that's what I want to share with you today. I'm just going to get right into it. Again, I apologize in advance if I come off, sounding like an idiot. I remember the day it finally hit me. I guess you can call it an epiphany once I realized and conceptualized the animal's misery. 11 years have passed in that time, and ever since I've been spending my life atoning for sins, trying to make amends to those species I now call friends. I'm sorry. At one time, I took pleasure in their pain, indulging in their flesh of their putrid remains. I normalized violence with every bite and used forks to relinquish them of basic rights. I promise I wasn't malicious in my endeavors, but the indoctrination made everything feel so much better. I'm sorry. I indulged in death instinctively and without thought, never losing sleep over the lives lost. You see, every meal was a denial of personhood. I have since made my life merciful, and just like any person should, I learned to live more merciful. Now the decisions I make are clearly objective because I've looked through the lens from the victim's perspective. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make up for lost time, for all the lost lives commodified and forced to die while screaming out of fear and anguish, a sound easily identified in any language. They say animals don't have a voice, but I ask, have you listened? I say ignoring their plight just makes for convenient decisions. I say lift the veil that impairs your vision, proceed and be guided by your own intuition. I'm sorry. If slaughterhouses had glass walls, we'd all be vegan because your eyes couldn't bear the sight of what you'd be seeing. Today I apologize for my past transgressions and create teachable moments from yesterday's valuable lessons. No longer can I sit in the comfortability of silence while animals remain victims of daily acts of violence. I'm sorry. This next one I wrote is basically a tale of the current state of the world that we're in and where we need to be as far as humanity is concerned. In order for us to build the world we are trying to create, the world we are currently living in must perish. There will come a time in history when man will have to look back at his transgressions against nature with shame for what he has allowed to transpire here on earth for his own short-term happiness. He will have to acknowledge and take accountability for the countless lives he has allowed to prematurely expire in his acquisitive endeavors. The oceans he has ravaged, the earth he has scorched, and the air he has left defiled comes at a heavy cost. Our beautiful planet and all of its inhabitants have felt the detrimental impact of man's conquest. The wombs of mother cows monetized and the plight of mother hens minimized, all while oceans are being emptied to fill the bank accounts of billionaires that prioritize accumulated wealth over animal welfare. How desensitized have we become that we not bat an eye at the sight of suffering? The cries of calves get lost in the night sky and all is forgotten once they touch our taste palate, and our bellies are filled with the remnants of precious babies that fell victim to man's predatory practices. Property has taken precedence over personhood. Animals in need of protection are instead given a new and colorful attribute, while advertisements using all the bells and whistles made available through corporate greenwashing are used as smokescreens to distract us from the Amazons being set ablaze and the ocean's occupancy dropping to the near point of vacancy. Debauchery and decadence have been normalized and accepted through subliminal indoctrination, and our comfortability in chaos has enabled man's tyrannical reign. With rain comes change, and it's always quiet before the storm. The seeds of discontent have been planted in the fertile part of what's left of the rotting soil, and that storm's rain will penetrate the earth to cultivate a humble beginning of a new world. Karma will sprout its way through the murky darkness and upwards towards the heavens to present itself in unapologetic full bloom. This unsustainable system that man has created for his short-term happiness has a shelf life. Mother Nature will come to reclaim her earthly remains and all of her matriarchal prowess. And hell hath no fury like a mother scorn. Vengeance is mine, said nature. She will come to shake the very foundation upon which man's throne sits lawfully and reduce it to rubble. Man's greed-fueled empire will sink into the oceans and become a cuisine for crustaceans. All depths will be settled once the seas are replenished. Endangered mammals once again become fruitful and multiply, and the rain beats against the soil and bears life-giving properties to the most peaceful of inhabitants. Only then we shall understand what money lacks in nutritional density, Mother Nature more than compensates for in collective liberation. And just so I'm clear, when we speak of collective liberation, we're talking about the liberation of nature, we're talking about the liberation of human beings, and we are talking about the liberation of animals. But they all have to work cohesively, not one entity working against the others to benefit itself. And when I speak of that, I'm talking about us as human beings, as individuals. We have to look past our own selfish wants and desires to see that this planet doesn't belong to us. It belongs to them too. And for us to take away from what is rightfully theirs just as well as it is ours is only gonna hurt nature, it's only gonna hurt us as individuals, and it definitely hurts the animals, and they suffer the most, and we know that. That's why we're here. Nobody suffers more than the animals, and that's a fact of life that people have to come to grips with, because it is a reality, and we have to change that. And like I said before, we all have the ability to do that. We all have the ability to dream and create and imagine and change the world so that we don't have days like this anymore. We have to get back to the natural world if we're going to sustain ourselves. And if not, we have to deal with karma, and karma is a mother nature. She's a mother nature. Thank you.